JavaScript Tutorial. Chapter 3. Statements, Comments, and Variables. JavaScript Statements. This statement tells the browser to write "Welcome to JavaScript tutorial" inside an HTML element with ID equals sample. JavaScript statements are commands to the browser. Most JavaScript programs contain many JavaScript statements. The statements are executed, one by one, in the same order as they are written. In this example A, B, and C are given values, and finally C is displayed. JavaScript code can run locally in a user's browser rather than on a remote server. The browser can respond to user actions quickly, making an application more responsive. Separate JavaScript statements. On the web, you might see examples without semicolons. Ending statements with semicolon is not required, but highly recommended. Add a semicolon at the end of each executable statement. A single statement may span multiple lines. When separated by semicolons, multiple statements on one line are allowed. Multiple statements on one line is allowed. JavaScript ignores multiple spaces. You can add white space to your script to make it more readable. The following lines are equivalent. A good practice is to put spaces around operators. For best readability, programmers often like to avoid code lines longer than 80 characters. If a JavaScript statement does not fit on one line, the best place to break it is after an operator. The best place to break a code line is after an operator or a comma. JavaScript statements can be grouped together in code blocks, inside curly brackets. The purpose of code blocks is to define statements to be executed together. One place you will find statements grouped together in blocks, or in JavaScript functions. Here is an example of JavaScript code blocks. After you click the Click Me. JavaScript statements often start with a keyword to identify the JavaScript action to be performed. Here is a list of some of the keywords you will learn about in this tutorial. JavaScript keywords are reserved words. Reserved words cannot be used as names for variables. JavaScript comments. JavaScript comments can be used to explain JavaScript code, and to make it more readable. JavaScript comments can also be used to prevent execution, when testing alternative code. Single-line comments start with //. Any text between // and the end of the line will be ignored by JavaScript, will not be executed. This example uses a single-line comment before each line to explain the code. Here is an example of single-line comments. This example uses a single-line comment at the end of each line to explain the code. Multi-line comments start with /* and end with */. Any text between /* and */ will be ignored by JavaScript. This example uses a multi-line comment, a comment block, to explain the code. Here is an example of multi-line comments. Note: it is most common to use single-line comments. Block comments are often used for formal documentation. Using comments to prevent execution of code is suitable for code testing. Adding // in front of a code line changes the code lines from an executable line to a comment. This example uses // to prevent execution of one of the code lines. Here is an example of using comments to prevent execution. For testing purposes, it is convenient to use document.write. JavaScript variables. JavaScript variables are containers for storing data values. In this example, A, B, and C are variables. From the example above, you can expect I stores the value 14, B stores the value 77, C stores the value 245. This is assigning values into variables. In this example, price 1, price 2, and total are variables. In programming, just like in algebra, we use variables, like minuend, to hold values. In programming, just like in algebra, we use variables in expressions, difference equals minuend, subtrahend. From the example above, you can calculate the total to be 14. Note: JavaScript variables are containers for storing data values. All JavaScript variables must be identified with unique names. These unique names are called identifiers. Identifiers can be short names, like X and Y, or more descriptive names, age, sum, total volume. The general rules for constructing names for variables, unique identifiers, are: names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. Names must begin with a letter. Names can also begin with $sign and underscore. But we will not use it in this tutorial. Names are case sensitive. Y and Y are different variables. Reserved words, like JavaScript keywords, cannot be used as names. Note: JavaScript identifiers are case sensitive. In JavaScript, the equal sign is an assignment operator, not an equal to operator. This is different from algebra. The following does not make sense in algebra. X equals X plus 14. In JavaScript, however, it makes perfect sense. It assigns the value of X plus 14 to X. It calculates the value of X plus 14 and puts the result into X. The value of X is incremented by 14. Note: the equal to operator is written like equals equals in JavaScript. JavaScript variables can hold numbers like 100, and text values like John Doe. In programming, text values are called text strings. JavaScript can handle many types of data, but for now, just think of numbers and strings. Strings are written inside double or single quotes. Numbers are written without quotes. If you put quotes around a number, it will be treated as a text string. This is assigning variables. Strings are written with quotes. Numbers are written without quotes. Try to experiment with // comments. Creating a variable in JavaScript is called declaring a variable. You declare a JavaScript variable with a var keyword. Var flower name. After the declaration, the variable has no value. Technically it has the value of undefined. To assign a value to the variable, use the equal sign. Flower name equals orchid. You can also assign a value to the variable when you declare it. Var flower name equals orchid. In the example below, we create a variable called flower name and assign the value orchid to it. Then we output the value inside an HTML paragraph with ID equals sample. This is an example of creating a variable then assigning value to display. Note: it's a good programming practice to declare all variables at the beginning of a script. You can declare many variables in one statement. Start the statement with var and separate the variables by comma. A declaration can span multiple lines. In computer programs, variables are often declared without a value. The value can be something that is to be calculated, or something that will be provided later, like user input. A variable declared without a value will have their value undefined. The variable address will have the value undefined after the execution of this statement. A variable declared without a value will have the value undefined. If you redeclare a JavaScript variable, it will not lose its value. The variable name will still have the value Harry Wilson after the execution of these statements. Redeclaring a variable, it will not lose its value. As with algebra, you can do arithmetic with JavaScript variables, using operators like equals, asterisk and plus sign. You can also add strings, but strings will be concatenated, added end to end. Also try this. Add 3 plus 4 plus 14, and display the result. Note: if you add a number to a string, the number will be treated as string, and concatenated.